teacher, or if you're a parent and you've taught your little one how to read, you know that there are two letters that give them the most trouble when figuring out which letter it is. Those letters are B and D. Oh my goodness. These letters give our little ones so much trouble because when they look at them, they can't tell the difference. Is it a B or a D? Does the word start with B or D? Obviously, these are two very different letters, but they really trip our kids up. Sometimes kids can master the difference between B and D really early, but I will see students even in first grade or beginning of second grade who still cannot remember which one is which letter is B and which is D. So in today's video, I'm going to give you a couple of tricks that I like to use to help my students remember so they know which one is the B and which one is the D. In case you don't know me, my name is Erin. I'm from littleslovelearning.com. I'm a former classroom teacher. I am also a tutor and a sub, and I spend my days teaching literacy. I teach parents and other teachers the best way to teach their kids how to read. And these tips that I'm going to give you have been very helpful for me when working with my students in tutoring and as a sub, and I hope they'll be helpful for you as well. So my first tip for you to differentiate between B and D is to really focus on how the letter is formed. They're formed in two totally different ways, and that can really be helpful for students to understand. So when I am looking at my lowercase letter B, it is a straight line letter. Straight line down, up and around. I want to reinforce that straight line down, up and around is for B, B. Now for the letter D, it is not a straight line letter. It is actually what I call a 2 o'clock letter. So it's a circle letter. So we're actually going to start at 2 o'clock to form the letter. And what I notice is that 2 o'clock, when I'm forming the first part of this letter, I'm actually forming the letter C. So if you look, it's like turning the letter C into the letter D. And lucky for us, when we say our alphabet, C comes before D. A, B, C, D. So I try to teach my students C turns into a D. A, B, C, D. My C turns into a D, and that's how I'm going to form the lowercase letter D. Totally different from how I formed my lowercase letter B. So that's one trick that you might want to try. Another one has to do with just the B, and I think about uppercase B. So here is my uppercase B. And what I tell my students is, imagine if you erase just the top of uppercase B. What direction is it going? And you can see, if I move my finger a little bit, the circle is facing the same way as lowercase b. So uppercase B and lowercase b are facing in that same way. So if I have an uppercase B on the board, what I will do is I will just take an eraser, which I don't have right now because these are markers, and I would just erase this part of my uppercase B. And then you would be able to see that it's a lowercase b. So that letter is a B. It's facing the same direction as the uppercase B. But if you tried to do that with lowercase d, if you had a B and you erased just the top portion, it's facing in the opposite direction. So that's not a B, it's a D. So that's another trick that can be helpful, especially with writing. Now the third trick, I'm sure you've seen this before, is also helpful, especially when they're reading a word, is I take my hands, I do my 2 thumbs up, I put them together, and I tell my students that this is my bed. Now I really focus on the sounds in bed. This is when my students are really also practicing their phonemic awareness. B-ed, bed. So when I put them together, I have my B, which is my letter B, and my D, which is my letter D. Now you can see that these actually resemble the lowercase letter B and the lowercase letter D, because this is my B. So it's a straight line down, up and around. It's facing the same direction as my B. And this is my D. It's facing the same direction as lowercase d. So It's a circle letter, up and down. C turns into a D. So it's facing the same way as my lowercase d. So sometimes if I have a letter on the board and my student is not able to recognize if it's a B or a D, I will put my hands up like this right next to the letter on the board and I'll say, okay, which of my hands looks like the letter on the board? Is it the B or the D? And usually that's able to help them solve their problem of figuring out if it's a B or a D. So those are just a couple of tricks to help you. I know there's another trick floating around there called the belly and the diaper trick. I never really was able to understand that trick myself as an adult. It just wasn't one that I really resonated with, so it's not one that I've ever taught my students. If that works for your students, that's awesome. I think whatever tricks and tools we can give our students to master B and D, that's what we need to do. But these are a few that maybe you haven't seen before or you haven't tried that would be helpful for your students, especially if they're not getting the belly diaper trick. And the more tools that they can have in their toolbox, the better. So I hope this tip was helpful for you today. If it was, I would love to hear about it. You can comment down below. You can give this video a like. Subscribe to my channel if you're interested in more videos like this. My goal is to help support you as you are teaching your child to read. I want you to feel confident knowing that you can teach them correctly, and I want them to feel confident knowing that they can read and they can spell, and that confidence is going to just have a ripple effect on all other areas of their life, and it's really going to have a positive impact not only in their school career, but also in other parts of their life as well. Until the next video, I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye.